Your audience is mentally leaning forward instead of sitting back because you've asked them to engage with you. Most adult learners will engage with you if you ask them to. Hey, fellow humans, welcome to the Virtual Presentation Skills Podcast. I'm Kimberly Gilbert, your host, and I am busting at the seams to share with you in episode 102 one simple way you can instantly engage. Oh, it's so fun. It's called the silent start. Now, remember, this is the show where we mix professional wisdom, a dash of humor, and a lot of really cool brain science. And today's show is our shorter version. We call the shorter version the 10-minute mastery. We guarantee to deliver value in less than 10 minutes. I'm so glad you're here today to share this short and immediately usable information. Because I want to give you one simple technique you can use right now, today, tomorrow, the next day, in any of your virtual meetings, offices, and any type of online events, and your engagement rates will go up. I've been working on this over the last couple of weeks with a couple of clients, and we decided to call this the silent start. I know that may sound a little bit backwards to you because when we think of engagement, we usually think of talking. We think of energy, conversation. We think of someone who is very enthusiastic, opening in the meeting and getting everyone warmed up. Well, this is a little bit of a different spin because I believe this is a smarter way to engage people online with a moment of structured silence. What I mean by that is instead of opening your meeting with a casual, how's everybody doing? Any questions before we begin? Or even worse, those long, boring monologues that some of the hosts are still engaging in while everyone else just watches. They start turning off their cameras, turning off their microphones. You simply start with a short prompt, and you can invite everybody to respond silently at the same time. We tested this a couple of times last week with a placeholder slide that gives the command prompt. So we're talking, a lot of people are using AI these days and we're using all these command prompts. Well, you can use the same command prompt with a human being in a virtual meeting. So maybe you have people responding in the chat box. Maybe it's on a whiteboard if you're feeling a little bit edgy and you want something that's a little bit more advanced, grab that whiteboard. You can share it in a document, maybe a poll. But before anyone starts talking, everyone does something. That is really the key because this is where we start talking about the brain science of active engagement. As you know, one of the biggest challenges in virtual communication is that people can disappear very easily. They can present, but not really be present. They can be logged in, but mentally excuse themselves from the room. And once that happens, the passive energy settles in. And I know from experience, it's hard to reverse. The silent start changes that dynamic immediately. It tells the audience you are not just here to listen, you are here to participate. And obviously, this doesn't apply to all meetings or online events or trainings or presentations. But for the most part, this technique applies. And it does something else that's really important. It gives everyone in the meeting an equal entry point. You probably know in most virtual meetings, the first few voices tend to shape the tone of the meeting. Just shake your head. I know you know this is true. The most confident person naturally speaks first. The fastest thinker jumps in. The extrovert actually fills the silence. And before you know it, everyone else is reacting instead of contributing. And we want everybody contributing. With a silent start, everyone has a chance to think first, before they respond. Now, that is really powerful. Some people, like me, I'm a natural extrovert. I typically just jump right in, not because I want to be first, but just because somebody's given a directive and they're looking for feedback. And I feel very comfortable giving public feedback and being put on the spot. What could this look like for you? Let's just say you're leading a team meeting. Instead of launching straight into your updates, you say something like this: do me a favor and type one word into the chat that describes how your week is going. Now, don't hit enter just yet. Wait for my signal. Suddenly, the chat starts filling up. Focused, busy, hopeful, overwhelmed, energized, scattered. These are just some examples of what you might hear from your audience. Now you know where your people are, both mentally and emotionally, and they know they have already participated. Now, we're talking about adult learners here. I am actually TESOL certified in addition to Neurolinguistics Coach Practitioner certification, and it's just interesting to me the way the adult brain learns that is so much different from our youngers and our littles. So if you're hosting a training session, you could say something like this also: before we dive in, what is one thing you hope to leave with today? It could be anything. It's not just focused on learning, it's focused on the engagement of the meeting. Your audience is mentally leaning forward instead of sitting back because you've asked them to engage with you. Most adult learners will engage with you if you ask them to. If you're running a webinar or a virtual event, you could ask something like this: on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident are you in this skill right now? Put your number in the chat. Now you've created interaction in less than a minute. It happens so quickly. And you've also created some curiosity as to the structure and the format of the meeting. People often assume engagement has to be flashy, and they think it has to involve breakout rooms, elaborate games, or lots of tech. But active engagement, as well as passive engagement, if these are structured correctly, is really about participation, relevance, and momentum. Now, the best place to get started in your virtual learning journey is the group Virtual Office Audit. You can sign up at virtualofficeaudit.com. This training is less than 30 minutes, 7 steps that are necessary for your success in your virtual meetings. Don't miss this. We have lots of training opportunities for you in 2026, and we'd love to see your beautiful face there. The silent start creates participation. You can use this in a daily office huddle, maybe a client presentation, a sales demo, a virtual training, a networking event. It even works in large conferences of over 500 people. Here are a few quick tips if you want to use this really, really well. First, make the prompt easy to answer. Do not start with something complicated. Start with something people can respond to in 5 to 15 seconds. Second, tell people exactly where to respond. Don't assume they know where you want them to respond. Clear instructions create confidence. That little structure makes the moment feel very intentional instead of awkward. And fourth, use the answers. This is really important. I can't tell you how many virtual meetings and presentations and trade shows I've jumped into, and the host is asking for something to be put into the chat box and they never use the information. Big mistake, big mistake. Don't do that. Don't let that be you. Don't ask for participation and then just ignore it. That doesn't make any sense. And it feels really awkward. And the person that shared the information with you goes away thinking, why did they even ask me that question if they weren't going to respond to my answer? Set the expectations ahead of time. This is what makes people feel seen. They feel more connected to you when they feel seen. Share a few responses out loud if you feel comfortable. Maybe comment on patterns. Transition from what people shared into the next point of your presentation. Try starting with silence, not dead silence, not empty silence, but structured silence, a moment where everyone thinks or responds, or a moment where participation begins before discussion does. Talk about active engagement and engaging the adult learners in your audiences. When people do something very early in the conversation, they're much more likely to stay engaged later. And we've got percentage rates coming back at about 80%, showing that when people engage early, they're much more likely to stay engaged later because they feel seen, they feel very important. Here's your challenge for this week. At your next virtual meeting or event or whatever online session you are jumping into this week, do not begin with announcements. Just try it. Do me a solid here and just try it. Don't begin with a lecture. Begin with a silent start. Ask one focused question, give people a place to respond, and watch how the energy in the room changes. It is visible. You can almost feel the energy in the virtual room. That's it for today's short episode of Virtual Presentation Skills. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have a moment to like, share, follow, comment, we would love to hear from you. And if you would like an expert team to help you design virtual meetings, trainings, events, and really build leadership techniques into your virtual teams, I can't wait to meet you in the next episode where we go live from the waist up.